So yesterday at 3 o'clock, we did end stream right at the same time, but yesterday concluded the NBA trade deadline. I do want to go through and talk about all the trades that, the little trades we didn't get to talk too much in depth about. Now we know where players are going, yada yada. I think, let's talk about some of the trades and why some teams did it. To start, I do want to give a big shout out to the Chicago Bulls. I want to give a big shout out to the Chicago Bulls. They played last night with a bunch of new players on their roster for the first time. I know they did not win. They lost to the Toronto Raptors, but Yabusele came off the bench yesterday, 15 points, 11 rebounds. Played a very, very good game for the Chicago Bulls, who was included in that Dalen Terry trade. So if they felt like Yabusele is going to be a win-now player for them and Dalen Terry was never going to develop, I like the trade for Chicago. Bringing in a guy like Yabusele, he's a culture guy. Teams have always liked him on their roster, and yeah. Shout out to the backcourt in Chicago as well. Anthony Simons, 22 points in the game. Hit a couple really good three-pointers. He looked very comfortable in Chicago. Now, mind you, there was no Josh Giddey, no Trey Jones. Obviously, they traded Kobe White. So there's a couple guards off the bench that they're still looking to get minutes to when they're healthy. But Anthony Simons, 22 points yesterday. Played 32 minutes of the game. I'd like to see him have the ball in his hands a little bit more, specifically in pick and roll. But hey, he's going to be shooting the ball that well. Keep letting him shoot the ball like that. I bet you his trade value goes up drastically as a member of the Bulls before the offseason. And lastly, Jaden Ivey. Also was just acquired by the Bulls. Put up 13 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. I thought both of them looked solid in their stints. Jaden Ivey looks a little weird wearing the number 31. But Jaden Ivey, solid game overall. I really believe in what the Bulls did this trade deadline. Bring in a couple other guys. Go get draft capital for the guys you have. Bring in guys that are very similar in talent level and hope that you can continue to flip these guys over and over again. But I do believe that like Colin Sexton is not reported yet. Trey Jones, obviously, Josh Giddey out. So there's going to be an abundance of guards. They also signed Mac McClung, who got like 13 minutes last night. Very interested to see who ends up winning kind of the starting job alongside Josh Giddey. As that shooting guard will be Jaden Ivey, will be Simons. But the Bulls, to get the draft capital they got and not get much worse in on-court production, I really like the moves that they made overall. And shout out to Washington, by the way. It looks like Washington is excited about this new culture and all the trades that they made because all the backups, all the young guys, Justin Champagnie, Keyshawn George, Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, Bilal Coulibaly. Shout out rookie Will Riley, Sharif Cooper, who was just recently picked up by them, Anthony Gill, Tristan Vucevic. They went into Detroit and won yesterday by 9 points. They came out guns blazing in that first quarter. They couldn't miss in the first quarter. Some of their shot attempts were really bad. I can't lie, so don't look at this and say, like, Washington were back. A lot of their shot attempts really weren't that great, but they went into Detroit and won, and I was very impressed with that. Shooting 44% from three. Start hitting your free throws, Washington. You cannot be shooting 56% from the free throw line, but holding the Pistons to 27% shooting. I just want to let you guys know, this is what I was talking about with the Detroit Pistons. If they're not going to make a move, is their shooting going to be the reason that they don't have a big run in the playoffs? This will be why. This game last night shows you why the Pistons needed to make a trade, because if Duncan Robinson, even if he's shooting every single one of his shots, he was 6 from 15 from the field, he was 6 of 15 from 3 yesterday. Even with a guy like Duncan Robinson, this team is really missing shooting, specifically off that bench. I'm expecting Kevin Huerter to get involved more off the bench, Karis LeVert to get more involved, but I really believe this is a team that, like, man, if you could have replaced Isaiah Stewart in this starting lineup with, say, a better big man stretch four shooter, like even someone like a John Collins or like Kawhi Leonard, right? I would be looking at this Pistons team so differently. I'm very worried about them come playoff time because of their lack of shooting around Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren. Continuing on in the games, Jalen Suggs dropped a triple-double yesterday, so good for him. The Magic did not really make any big-time trades during the deadline, so not much to talk about there, but shout out to Jalen Suggs for the triple-double. And I do also want to give credit to the Charlotte Hornets. Kobe White did not play, but the Hornets went into Houston and won on the road, 109-99. LaMelo Ball continues to look better and better. Him, Khan, and Brandon Miller just winning basketball players when they're on the court together. They really have been playing so well. Diabate is really starting to come into his own, find his role, be a defender, be a disruptor in the paint. And man, you want to talk about the Houston Rockets and the issues they have offensively. We've been saying it all year long. They have no creation, no playmaking outside of their main guys. Sengun gets locked up by Diabate. Kevin Durant comes down and drops 31. But every team KD goes to, it feels like by the time we get to this point, it's just the Kevin Durant show. And right now we're seeing that in Houston. They have no help for him around him. This was another team I expected to go out and make a trade to help their bench unit out, especially if Steven Adams going down. Maybe they'd use that contract with a pick. But no. The Rockets continue to struggle. And the Hornets, even with Kobe White not playing yesterday, continue to play very, very good basketball in the recent weeks. Also, this game turned out to just be an incredible ending. Isaiah Collier almost had it, but Nickeil Alexander-Walker hit a clutch turnaround game-winning shot. We mentioned it, though. Shout out Corey Kispert, 20 points off the bench in limited minutes. We like that trade with Corey Kispert going over there to bring the shooting. Atlanta, though, is definitely not at full strength. Jock Landale was their best player yesterday. Shout out to Jock Landale, who was kind of one of those throw-in trades that happened at the deadline. With Onyeka Okongwu being out with dental pain, it says, and Christian Koloko getting DMP coach's decision, even though they were winning a lot with him coming into the lineup. Jock Landale comes out, drops 26 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. Jalen Johnson, 22, 16, and 15. I mean, that's just disgusting, Jalen Johnson. But yeah, Utah still put up such a good fight with Isaiah Collier playing every single minute of this game, 48 minutes with Keontae George out and no real backup guard minutes. Collier plays the entire game, drops 25, 7, and 11. Filipowski with 17 rebounds. Ace Bailey with a 20-point game. Now, 26 shots to get 20 points isn't that great, Ace Bailey, so work on that. But Utah Jazz, 2-point loss. Still love what Utah's building. I cannot wait to see them with Jaren Jackson Jr. in that lineup. And lastly, the Los Angeles Lakers beat the Philadelphia 76ers. With Austin Reeves coming off the bench, Luka Doncic went down with an injury and did not return in this game, but Austin Reeves came in off the bench, even in the minutes restriction. 25 minutes, 35 points, 12 of 17 from the field. If it takes you 17 shots to get 35 points, you know you're doing something right. Maxi Kleber with a plus-minus of plus 23. Rui Hachimura, plus-minus of plus 16. Really thought Rui was not going to make his way to the through with the Lakers through the trade deadline, but here we are with him still there, Maxi Kleber still there, Jared Vanderbilt still there. And even with Luka going down, Austin Reeves puts up an incredible showing. Reeves on the season, 26.5, 6, and 5 on great shooting. Love me some Austin Reeves. But getting back to some of these trade deadline deals. Ayo Dosunmu going to the Chicago Bulls. I believe Julian Phillips is somehow also included in this trade. I know his name's not there, but I did see a clip of Julian Phillips. I like this pickup for Minnesota, especially now that they got Mike Conley back. I like their guard rotation now even more. They were one of the teams that were very interested in Giannis Antetokounmpo. Were not able to work out a deal. And then it was rumored that there was one front office that didn't feel like Giannis could take a step into the second best player on a team, and they were worried about that. Then the rumors are leading that is Minnesota, saying that Giannis would want to play with Anthony Edwards. I don't really know how that's all working. But Ayo Dosunmu going to Minnesota. I think he's a great defensive-minded guy, point of attack defender. Love this trade for Minnesota. Bringing in a guy like Ayo, I just think is great. And the Bulls, same thing for them. Getting a guy like Rob Dillingham, whose value is probably only going to go up, along with 4 second-round picks. Just keep building your draft capital. Eric Gordon getting traded out of Philly to Memphis for just a second-round pick swap. This was basically just a trade to get the Sixers out of the luxury tax. It worked, so congrats to Philly for saving them a couple $100,000 in trading Eric Gordon. 3-team trade right here, very underwhelming trade, but Nick Richards, Cole Anthony, Amir Coffey, Ousmane Dieng, and Nigel Hayes-Davis all traded for one another. Phoenix getting Cole Anthony, Chicago ending up with Nick Richards, and then Milwaukee ending up with Ousmane Dieng. I like the trade for Milwaukee, getting a guy like Ousmane Dieng, but overall, not really much to talk about with that trade. Love this trade for the New York Knicks, though, bringing in Jose Alvarado for basically nothing. Dalen Terry was never really a part of the Knicks, and 2 second-round picks along with a little bit of cash to go get you a win-now backup guard. They could use a little bit of backup playmaking when Jalen Brunson is on the bench. They could really use that point guard play because Deuce McBride is definitely more of a scoring guard. And Tyler Kolek, as good as he is, I don't think he has the point guard abilities of, specifically defensively that Jose Alvarado has. So
No, he's not that.
love this trade for the Knicks, going to get a win now guy. I believe he's under contract too for the next couple of years on a
Doesn't he have beef with the Knicks?
team-friendly contract. I don't know. That's a good
I
question.
always thought there was beef between the Knicks and Jose Alvarado.
Maybe, but hey, he's there now, so I bet you that beef is all squashed there.
Oh, yeah, totally.
The biggest trade that happened right before is Ivica Zubac getting traded to the Indiana Pacers for Benedict Mathurin and Isaiah Jackson, a first-round pick, which this is the first time I've ever seen a draft pick protected the way this one is. It's protected 1 through 4 and 10 through 30, which means the only way the Clippers get that pick is if it ends up 5 through 9. If that pick does not convey this year, so hypothetically that falls to the 3rd pick in the draft and the Pacers get it, that would turn into a 2031 unprotected first-round pick. I'm first going to talk about the Clippers trade deadline because they basically flipped James Harden and Ivica Zubac into Darius Garland, Benedict Mathurin, and a couple first-round picks. I like it for the Clippers. The Clippers were clearly not a championship contending team. We saw that through the first half of the season when they were 6-21. Then they went on that big win streak with Ty Lue, and it was looking like, vibes were better and everything until right before the trade deadline. James Harden, I don't know if he requested a trade or what ended up happening with all that, but he ended up leaving to go to Cleveland in that Darius Garland swap. As for the Clippers, I will say, I think the only reason why Kawhi Leonard is still a Clipper is because he got told to stay. He didn't get told. He told the Clippers he wanted to stay a Clipper. When he was signing there from Toronto, he did say, he just wants to stay at home for the rest of his career and be with the be in LA. So it doesn't surprise me too much to see Kawhi sticking around. But I kind of like what the Clippers have built. With, having to trade their main pieces in James Harden and Zubac around Kawhi, they now are running a lineup of Darius Garland at the 1, Benedict Mathurin at the 2, Kawhi Leonard at the 3, John Collins at the 4, and then probably a mix of either Brook Lopez or recently acquired Isaiah Jackson at the 5. Is this team a playoff contending team? Absolutely not. I don't think they are going to want to be a playoff contending team. I wouldn't be surprised if they even fall as much as out of the play-in tournament if a team like Dallas jumps up with Cooper Flagg playing the way he has recently, or if the Jazz go on a win streak. I think the Clippers probably will be the 10th seed, though. I think Portland will surpass them, but I think the Clippers will sit right at the 10th seed. But you know what? It's better. You're looking for the future with the Clippers trade deadline. They're much better positioned than they were in 48 hours ago with James Harden and Zubac on their roster. And hypothetically, if you traded Zubac and end up with that 5th or 6th overall pick, now you're looking at that trade as a huge win for the Clippers, a team that has no draft capital from the former trades they made. Looking to rebuild that draft capital. They do it with Zubac. They did it a little bit by trading James Harden away. I like it. I like what the Clippers did at this trade deadline. Do I think it's going to propel them to any success in the next 2 years? No, but I think they're in better position today for the future than they were in 48 hours ago. So, good job, Clippers, but at the same time, it's no, you're stuck. You're kind of just stuck with what you got. That's majority of the trades that I did want to go over. If I go to the rest of the NBA trades that did happen.
I feel like the big thing is Giannis not getting traded. And Ja. I mean, how about Ja not getting traded?
I think both of them, I think what those two franchises did, specifically Milwaukee and the Giannis thing, was now they have basically full information and understanding of what the Giannis trade is going to look like and what the value of his is going to be in the offseason. So my guess is that they had all the conversations. They wasted a lot of people's time trying to get the trade. But for Milwaukee, you can now basically build your entire plan around the trade offers that you just got over the past couple days. Go into the offseason and try and leverage those offers to try and get either more or different. Not worse, but different offers from other teams. But my whole thing is, if there was a trade that they fell in love with, they would have accepted it. I believe Giannis was 1 foot out the door on his way out. I think the Bucks were ready to get rid of him too. So just because he's staying right now does not make me think that the Bucks are going to keep Giannis for the next 5 years of his career. I think that, trade talks will definitely resume right when the offseason happens again. I would not be that surprised, though, if Giannis tries to recruit a couple guys to Milwaukee before he ends up getting traded out of there, because he does. It seems like he wants. Sometimes he comes out and makes it seem like he wants to stay in Milwaukee.
He's the king of the flip flop over here.
Crazy.
Sometimes, he just keeps switching his mind every 2 days.
Yeah, so he is sticking around. If I'm Milwaukee, I don't hate it though, because now you have complete information on what kind of trade you're going to get from him in the offseason and what direction. You know, you got another 4 months now to decide what direction you want to send your franchise in. But
what about
I hope he
Ja,
doesn't
though?
play another game. I think the same thing, honestly, is for Ja. I don't think they were getting the draft capital they wanted in a Ja Morant trade.
I don't blame anybody for that either.
I completely agree.
I
wouldn't have thrown first round picks.
Because the thing is with Giannis, it's like Giannis has the injury issues, but you don't have to worry about behavior with Giannis. Ja has the injury issues, and you got to worry about the behavior.
Yeah.
Was there any teams even seriously considering?
So the one trade
Ja
that I
Morant?
saw that the Memphis Grizzlies declined the trade for Ja Morant. It was Jaime Jaquez, Terry Rozier, and a first-round pick from the Miami Heat.
Well, I mean, you'd be replacing one criminal with another with Morant and Rozier, but honestly, I know it's crazy to say because he's a better player than Jaquez, but all things considered, I would rather have Jaquez than Ja Morant.
Wow.
I would. It's like he doesn't play. Like, you know what I mean? I would have just, and the thing is with the Grizzlies, they need to just move on from this.
That's what I was
like,
saying,
you
yeah.
just have to just end it. It's not working out. Like,
Yeah, I
you
just
know?
think it's weird that they trade Desmond Bain in the offseason. Jaren Jackson's like
Well,
a
even-
fan
I
favorite
was
guy
gonna
that
say,
they
keep-
love.
when they
Fans love
traded
him.
When they traded him the other day, we were here. I go, Josh, this is over.
Yeah,
like,
Josh should have
someone's gonna
been
get him.
long gone, but no, they kept him around. My guess is that they just didn't love it, so they're gonna try and run Ja Morant like 38 minutes a game for the rest of the season now, and just try and get his value as high as it can get going into the offseason. That would be my guess with what Memphis is trying to do.
I'm sure he's gonna appreciate that like a good sport and play hard.
Yeah, exactly. So
He's such a moron.
We'll see what ends up happening with Memphis. I do like the trades that they made on paper, though. They kind of did, go full tank mode. They now have a bunch of young players that they're going to be playing, like Cedric Coward, first-round pick. They love him. Jalen Wells was possible Rookie of the Year last year out of the second round, who's a very solid forward. Gigi Jackson, very young guy that I believe Gigi's under 21 years old, is it? Yeah, he's 21 years old. Just turned 21, too. So he's got a long time before he's got, shows what he has. Santi Aldama's a young guy. They take chances on guys like Taylor Hendricks, Walter Clayton Jr., They have Ty Jerome starting at the point guard position, which in the past couple of days with Ja Morant not playing, Ty Jerome has been amazing. 20 points, 19 points, 28 points in his first real games of the season since he dealt with the preseason injury. They signed him to a 3-year team-friendly deal. They still have Scottie Pippen Jr. I kind of, similarly to like what the Clippers did, I don't love the moves on paper, but I think they're setting themselves up for future success. We know the Memphis Grizzlies now, I believe it has 13 first-round picks in the next 7 years or something like that, some statistic around there. And that's without Ja Morant getting traded yet. So we'll see what happens in the offseason if Ja ends up getting traded.
He gotta be gone in the offseason.
I can't lie, I wouldn't be that surprised if, hypothetically speaking, we get to the offseason and someone like a Zion Williamson is a buy low candidate, or someone on, say, I don't know, like there's going to be a couple players that I think teams are going to be able to buy lower on in the offseason, like only have to give up one first-round pick or something. And I wouldn't be surprised if Memphis never actually drafts a lot of guys with the first-round picks that they have, but rather retool a team. And if they do believe in Ja Morant to stick around and be the, face of that retooling, it wouldn't surprise me because of how much, technically up to this point, they've already put so much into the Ja Morant sweepstakes and how much time they've already put into it. But I look around the league like, the Kings literally did not make a trade. I cannot believe that the Sacramento Kings, the only trade they made was technically a win-now move. I mean, what kind of... how do you have Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Domantas Sabonis, Russell Westbrook through the trade deadline to me is... I cannot, in a million years, understand what the Sacramento front office is doing. The fact that even, like, Malik Monk is sitting on this bench still playing basketball games for them. Like, I would have much rather watched the Kings run out a starting lineup of Devin Carter. Doug McDermott's playing basketball for them sometimes. Like, just run a starting lineup of, like, Devin Carter, Dylan Cardwell, Neek Clifford, DeAndre Hunter, and, I don't know, Maxime Reynaud. That team is going to win the same amount of games as the starting lineup you have right now. And you could have at least gotten the same way the Bulls were getting just second-round picks for their assets. Just go get second-round picks. You guys are 12-40. Your season's done. Like, I guess maybe this is a team looking at them saying, like, if we're going to be bad, we may as well try and get Darren Peterson, right? Play for the lottery. Try and go get that first pick because technically if insert Darren Peterson or AJ Debonesa to this team, I'm probably looking at them as a play-in tournament team. But at the same time, it's like, what's your ceiling? Like, what's your real ceiling if you're the Sacramento Kings? And why are you not flipping Zach LaVine to a win-now team? Why are you not trying to flip DeMar DeRozan?
Someone would want some. I'm not the biggest fan of Sabonis, but I think someone would want
I saw rumors that the Raptors were giving up 2 first-round picks, and the Kings were saying no to a Sabonis trade. What are you doing? What are you doing?
That's like when you have that's like when you have like an old person that's senile and they try selling their property to something. That's insane. They didn't do that.
And at the same time, the same stuff I'm saying about Sacramento. I mean, the Pelicans coming out and saying that they believe they have a playoff roster in the next couple of years. Have we not seen this same exact roster actually get better? Like, literally, this roster is technically better than it was last year. You're adding Derek Queen. You added the emergence of Trey Murphy, who's jumped to a 25-point-per-game scorer. Sadiq Bey. They brought in Sadiq Bey for nothing. Jordan Poole, the whole reason they put that guy on the bench was to trade him, and now no one traded for him. Zion Williamson, you're still going to sit around and try and tell me that Zion's the number one option on the Pelicans? Like, I just don't understand how the Pelicans and the Kings really sat around this trade deadline and didn't flip any of their guys for future draft capital to try and help them out in the near future, especially with the team that they're at right now. These two teams are worse than the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, end all be all. The Brooklyn Nets just last night finally started all of their first round picks. Last night their like whole lineup was made up of their draft picks recently. Jaeger Demon, Nolan Traore was starting. Danny Wolf was their first round pick. Drake Powell was a first round pick. Ben Serap was a first round pick. They're finally running their young guys. And you're telling me your teams of veterans are worse than the Brooklyn Nets, and you're not willing to try and sell these guys for draft picks. It is the worst management I've seen in recent years. Like, I'd rather, like, at least, you know, a couple of years ago when we looked at teams that were kind of stuck and stagnant with these older players, at least they were, like, middle of the pack teams, right? Like, at least it was the Eastern Conference with teams like the Bulls were just always in the play-in tournament, or the Hawks were just always in the play-in tournament with these mid-tier players, right? We're talking about two teams that are worse than the Utah Jazz and the Brooklyn Nets right now, not willing to make any trade, you know, pieces for the future. I mean, the Kings have lost 10 games in a row. 10 games in a row leading into the trade deadline. You've lost 10 in a row, and then you're going to sit there and tell me you're not going to make... Actually, your only trade is going to be a win-now trade to go get DeAndre Hunter. I cannot understand it in a million years, man. I really can't understand it.
Well, they've been like this forever. You know what I mean?
But 3 years ago, they were in the playoffs.
No,
3 years ago, they were the 3 seed in the playoffs,
So
and one
Pelicans
game away.
Too, weren't the Pelicans?
Pelicans haven't been in the play. They were the 8 seed one year with CJ McCollum, but they got swept by the Thunder immediately. It was like, I don't know how these two teams can look at the rosters they have and be like, man, we feel good about our future. And then you're 13-40 and have no draft capital and no young, you know, like no exciting players are coming up on it. It's just pathetic.
The Pelicans, I mean, you know, you gave Zion, again, why did Zion get a max contract? I don't understand what he did to
Zion gets a max contract. You trade for Jordan Poole, who's making $100 million over the next 3 years for the Pelicans, who then falls out of the rotation for them, and then you can't trade him because if he's not good on the Pelicans, obviously no one else is going to want him.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like...
It's like how you said Zion. Zion's not a number one option with the Pelicans, a.k.a. he's not a number one option anywhere. It's like, and why are we, you know, all that's happening, and you're not even starting Jeremiah Fears anymore. He's gone to the bench unit. It's like, that's your 7th overall pick. You put all this, you know, pressure on to come in, and you put him as a starter immediately, and now you're halfway through the season. Now you're not starting him. Zion's card's still expensive.
No way, right? No way.
Zion's market's still good.
It's a good question, though. If anyone in chat knows, how's Zion's card market? We'll definitely look it up.
What about Zion's? I'm going to look it up.
But, like, I think to myself, franchises like the Washington Wizards, right? They just made a couple big-time trades. Obviously, they brought in Anthony Davis. But at least they have so many young players that they feel good about for the upcoming future. So it's not like they're going to just give all this money to Trae Young and Anthony Davis and have no backup plan. They still have Keyshawn George, Alex Sarr, Trey Johnson, Will Riley, all the guys at the backups now that they believe in 3 years they'll figure out who those win-now guys are after they're done paying Trae Young and Anthony Davis, right? When I look at the teams like the Kings and stuff, I mean, even coming out of the draft, Nick Clifford was supposed to be a guy that was like going to a win-now player out of Colorado State. The Kings draft him to what? What is it that this guy is playing? I mean, he's playing 20 minutes a night, averaging 6 points a game. I mean, what are we talking about here? Like, what? Your best rebounder on the year is averaging 6.4 rebounds per game. Just pathetic stuff that I'm seeing out of these franchises right now. I just wish that they had different management because I see rebuilds like Houston, how they accelerated their rebuilds, how the Detroit Pistons accelerated their rebuilds, how the Charlotte Hornets now are feeling much better about their future with Con Knuppel, how the San Antonio Spurs with their picks of Wemby and then the picks around Wemby just accelerated their rebuild. Phoenix, they retooled to be a winning team right now. Why are teams like the Pelicans and Kings in the place that they are right now? I have no idea, and I can't even like try and understand the thought process of not flipping a Zach LaVine or not flipping a DeMar DeRozan. But at the end of the day, that's where we're at with the teams, with those lower end Western Conference teams. And now we have to go through the rest of the season with, you know, the Milwaukee Bucks still running out the same Kyle Kuzma lineup. The at least like the Chicago Bulls made trades, right? At least they tried to get assets and flip them and flip the assets for more assets. Like, at least they're trying something. Where else these teams like the Pelicans and the Kings are just, they're just what they are right now, and they're not changing for positive, any way positive, shape, or form in the future. Like, at least Dallas, you know, gave up an Anthony Davis to get some draft capital. At least Utah made a win-now move to go get Jaren Jackson Jr. At least the Grizzlies decided that they're going to sell their soul. Blazers are looking to keep all their assets around because they want to enter the Giannis sweepstakes in the offseason. The Clippers just tanked a couple of pieces. Timberwolves bought in. Lakers bought in. I don't know. Just sad to look at the state of the NBA and think to myself, you know, if you're going to be 12-40 or 13-40, just trade the players that have some value elsewhere. Like,
I look at Dallas. I like, you know, it's like,
I like what Dallas did, right? They
weren't
trade
doing
Anthony
nothing.
Davis. They trade Anthony Davis. The Grizzlies trade Jaren Jackson Jr. The Clippers get younger. I mean, the teams that are better than the worst teams are making progressive moves for their future.
Yeah. I mean, the
and yet these two
Celtics
teams
get
are
in
just sitting
Shingu.
there.
I mean, again, it's like the Celtics are third place right now. Everyone thought the Celtics would be like closer to the bottom than the top. A lot of people did. They're 15 games above 500. But it's like all these teams have in common. They all play hard. It's like they just run well. You know, it's like you look at the Pelicans. I'm like, oh my god, like
Just pathetic stuff.
the Kings.
Yeah, so that's where we're at. Shout out to Indiana for getting Zubac. Such a great pickup as long as they didn't give up the 5th overall pick. And we're going to see how, you know, trades like the Chicago Bulls plan out for the rest of the season. If Simons is going to be starting, if Jaden Ivey's going to find his role off the bench, we got to see how Kobe White fits in Charlotte. We have yet to see any of the new Atlanta Hawks team with Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield replacing Luke Kennard as that, shooter. And very excited to see this new look Atlanta Hawks team building around Jalen Johnson, trying to get athletic wings and defensive-minded guards. I absolutely love what they're building over there in Atlanta. But to see, like, you know, a team like Detroit stand still at the deadline made me really upset, especially that they just lost to a non-healthy Washington team last night because of their lack of shooting. Would have loved to see Detroit go find another shooter. Cleveland obviously made their win now trade to go get James Harden, believing that that's the step that it's going to take to help them. We got to see the James Harden and Donovan Mitchell backcourt. That should happen over the weekend. Would have loved to see Toronto move on from Jakob Poeltl. I really thought Sabonis to Toronto was going to happen. That never panned out. I'm surprised to see both ends not be able to make that trade work. Philly, I know a lot of Philly fans are upset, but they're under the luxury tax now, which is honestly a big thing for them in the offseason because now they're able to trade contracts, which if they were making a trade previously, they were over the second apron, so they were not able to make basically any trade that didn't include money exactly attached. But them trading Jared McCain away and getting the draft capital they got back, and then obviously Eric Gordon puts them under the luxury tax, so now they have a little bit more ability to work with their roster. You know, no one's going to want Paul George, but if you can, you know, make the edges around him work, they have the pieces in Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid to make a run as long as they're all healthy.
Brian Windhorst says Ja Morant has negative value. I mean, yeah, honestly, he's another one with a supermax contract. It's like, how the hell are these teams supposed to take that on for that production? You know,
Exactly.
when you only have that much money to spend.
Yep. So that's where we're at right now in the NBA. We are post-trade deadline, so these teams are the way they are now. So if I had to give my finals prediction, post-trade deadline, I really do think that the Boston Celtics, if Jason Tatum comes back, is going to win the Eastern
That's
Conference.
the big wild card. Who the hell knows?
If Tatum comes back, if he doesn't come back, I'd probably lean more so to a team like New York or a healthy Philadelphia. If in all, I don't know if Tatum doesn't play, but it's really going to be very matchup based and dependent on who's available come playoff time. And in the Western Conference, until I see the Thunder get beat, I'm not going to say the Thunder are going to. I would probably still predict the Thunder win the NBA championship, but I can't wait for a 7-game series between either the Thunder and the Spurs or the Thunder and the Rockets. Or sorry, the Thunder and the Nuggets. Whichever one happens there, I can't wait for it. And I will say, if hypothetically the Thunder have to see the Minnesota Timberwolves in the second round, don't count out Minnesota now, building their roster kind of to compete with the Thunder, and they got the star power to do it. It's just, can Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert, and the remaining guys step up when needed? But yeah, if I had to give a prediction right now, I'll say Boston, OKC, with OKC probably winning that finals. But, we got to see what injuries happen, if any.
Yep.
Where Cam Thomas ends up going, because he was released by the Brooklyn Nets. I think Cam Thomas, if he gets picked up by the right team, for example, like Detroit, team that really needs shot creation off their bench, go get a guy like Cam Thomas to bring him in for 18 to 22 minutes a night and tell him go get buckets. I'm telling you, he's not going to be much worse than what Karis LeVert has been for them this year. And I can't wait to watch the first game between Harden and Mitchell. Specifically, I can't wait to watch the first week of a James Harden team where the Cavs are probably going to win 4 games in a row. Just for 2 months from now, James Harden had a 9-point game and played the worst defense ever, and Evan Mobley and Kenny Atkinson are screaming at him. The James Harden effect on new teams. He'll go over there, they'll start off strong, and then come playoff time, we'll see what it's really about. But
well, he's an all-time great player, though, right?
Exactly. So I can't wait for it. We'll see what ends up happening. But that is the state of the NBA right now.
We got the All-Star game next weekend, too.
Yippee-ki-yay. We got the NBA USA versus Worlds game coming up next weekend.